Oh man, it's good to hear from you guys.
So, welcome back to the Goldmine Podcast. This is the Record Store Recon edition, and we have a guest, longtime reader, Rev of the Drowns. How you doing, buddy?
I'm so good, man. It's good to see you guys again. And thanks for having me back. This rules.
How was your record store day?
Man, it was mellow, to be honest. I, so I have this problem now to where I've become really good friends with Alan. And so Alan actually messaged me beforehand and said he was going. And so I went and because I'm home for a little bit, I scheduled some stuff with family that day. So I was like, Alan's gonna take care of it. He knows what I like.
And for those of you who don't know, that's Alan Brostoff, alias is Dr. Disc. He used to be anonymous, but he's been called out. Um,
Sorry, sorry.
Alan, how was your record store day? Is he there? Alan.
Oh no, I think Alan froze. The
Uh,
the anonymity. He had to bail.
Sorry, but
Alan.
all right.
Alan, how was your record store day, buddy?
My record store day was phenomenal. I spent the morning with Siren Records, who I've had the opportunity to spend um, several years with, going out to, and the class that um, Jen and Bill showed to their customers was absolutely amazing. This young lady had gotten in line at midnight, was dropped off at the store, no car, no nothing. It was her first time. She had just moved out to the suburbs from the city. And the one thing she wanted was the Wicked soundtrack. And the store got one copy of it. And so when they found out that she had gotten there so early and wanted it, they made sure that it was right there when she walked in so she could get it. Because the way they do is they run stuff all around their store and they let people in. And so you could be first, but maybe not get the one item because maybe you went one way and somebody else went a different way and you didn't get the one item you were waiting there. And they wanted to make sure she got it. And she was so excited.
Man,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah. And that's, to me, that's what Record Store Day is all about. I mean, there was, the whole time I was there, everybody was happy except for one customer who didn't like the only get one per person rule. He was determined to try and break that rule, and the store held firm and said, "Listen, it's our policy. We want to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to get this stuff."
That's
What about
awesome.
your dad? How was your RSD?
It was called a flipper. Good. I saw we both shared, collaborated on Instagram posts, so that was cool. I did a record store crawl in Connecticut, which was very cool. We ended up in Red Scroll Records in Wallingford. That was our last stop, and that's one of my favorite record stores. It's a warehouse, basically. It wasn't always a warehouse, but a few years back, they moved into a new location, and it's kind of like the record store we're going to talk about, which you covered in the spring 2025 issue of Goldmine. Your record store Recon did Get Hip Records, or Get Hip Recordings, which is a Get Hip Records.
Yep,
Uh,
it's
and
get
you
hip
said
records.
you had a hard time finding it because it's in a warehouse, right? So,
Yeah, it is a little off the beaten path. It's in kind of a business, like an industrial center, which there was like really there's this one business complex that I think had a bike store in it and had this record store, but the record store door isn't even on the front side of the building, it's around on the side, and then you go up to the second floor. But man, once you are in there, it will blow your mind. If you treat the owner, Greg, nicely, maybe he'll give you a tour and show you everything that is there because
what does
um,
that mean?
it is so
Give him like bring some lunch to him, or what?
well. You know, you walk in and it's a regular store, and they've got a little bit of everything, and you'll notice that they have a lot of Cynics music. Why do they have lots of Cynics? Well, because Greg is the guitarist of the Cynics, which was a great garage punk band back in the 60s, and they're still playing today. They still tour. There's only two original members, I believe, left, but So Greg started this record store, but he also turned it into a distribution facility also. And so the record store is great, but it's the distro that he took me back to see. And I think that's where some of the pictures are that are in the magazine. You just see walls and walls and walls of records. And he distributes for European labels. If you go to the website, you can see some of the labels that they distribute for. But he's got so much stuff and so many stories to tell.
I noticed.
It was one of the
It
best
looked like a library.
owner, stories I've ever had.
Yeah, I was going to ask you one of the question. Those photos. It was just shelves, like they were bookshelves almost, but the kind of shelves you would get at IKEA, right, for records. Um, and because you said you flip through his records inventory, but you couldn't flip through that. You had to go through it differently, right? But when
Yeah,
you
well,
said records, and more records, man, you meant it.
yeah, he's bought collections from people, and he just has boxes and boxes that haven't even been opened. But they also have a small stage area where they do in stores. So as a matter of fact, just 2 days ago, they had Amy Rigby, who is she tours sometimes with her husband, who's better known as Reckless Eric. Um,
Yeah.
and so they did an in store, but they had a band called the Pukes, who were another like 70s uh, Pittsburgh garage band, and they did a record release party for them a while ago. So that it's just follow them. If you're not following them on social media, follow Get Hip. And if you are ever in the Pittsburgh area, get your butt over there. It's worth driving a little out of the way to find this place because the prices are good and they've got a wide selection.
Well,
Awesome.
I was gonna say if the website, you could probably go there and get some pretty cool stuff if you're
Yep.
not in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, right? Since
Yep.
he is a distributor.
Yep. And they have some record store day stuff up on their website too. So now you could, again, like I posted yesterday on social media, please, folks, stay off of eBay. Go hit up your local record stores before you go to eBay and pay stupid prices for stuff.
Right.
A lot of record stores still have a lot of this stuff in their store, and they're selling it normal cost.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
so
if
that's
go ahead, Ray. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. I was just gonna say that's over the years that's been my strategy is because of my touring schedule and I'm gone so much is I'm usually the guy who's there a couple days or a week after record store day to see what's still around. And I think it's good to urge people that that's still an option. You know what I mean? It's just because you missed the release or something doesn't mean it's not there. And you and I both, Alan, I know that we've both found record store day releases that just never sold, and from years prior. So it's always worth it, even if you can't make it on the day or get up. Even if you can't get up early and get in line to go do that, is because it's more than likely they'll have at least a few of the options that were available day of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my favorite. That's one of my favorite parts of record stores, participating ones, is record store day albums of years past. That bin, because you'll be surprised what you'll get in there. You'll find something that you thought was sold out, or was sold out the day of that previous year, and then you'll find it and be like, "Wow, this is cool."
Well, and
And
you
you'll
know,
get it at a price that is more affordable than it was that certain record store day.
More
you
than
know,
likely, yeah.
the one thing that most people probably don't think about, and because when I go to IHOP for breakfast, I don't necessarily think about all the employees that are working there, but understand that for a lot of these independent record stores, which is what RSD was designed for, this is going to be their largest single day sales day. But on the other side of it, it's also their largest outlay of money. I mean, stores put out a ton of money to roll the dice and order this stuff for record store day. And it's almost like doing your tax return. I used to always brag, like I always felt so good if the government owed me money at the end. And my dad's like, "You're an idiot. You want to break even because if the government owes you money, it just means they've been sitting on your money for the whole year and paying you no interest to have your money. Ideally, you want to end up at zero where you don't owe them and they don't owe you. The ideal record store day is one where at the end of the day, the customers got everything they wanted and the store sold through all their inventory because the stores are spending a ton, and they're stuck with a lot of times. I mean, there are still, and I love the Flaming Lips, but there are still Flaming Lips box sets from 10 years ago for that stupid box set that had 5 albums that you had to play all 5 at the exact same time to hear what the music actually sounded like. That stores can't get rid of. They can't get rid of that thing. So, I mean, again, go visit your local store, spend your money there. If you can't find it there, before you go on eBay, go to social media, post something. I just saw somebody posted something today about the Lou Reed album that, oh my gosh, I wasn't able to get it. Anybody got one? And within like 5 minutes, he had 7 responses from stores who all said, I've got it. Here's the cost. Get in touch with me. I'll be happy to send you one.
So rad. That's awesome.
By the way, this episode's sponsored by IHOP.
Hey,
I
Alan,
love IHOP.
I wanted to touch back real quick on the story that you said about that shop and that girl who was in line. And it's funny, just like any collecting community, um, you're always going to have those people who are going to complain about trends. Like I'm a pinball guy too, right? So there's a lot of people who bitch about like the next Stern theme. Like when Stern put out a Rush pinball machine, they were like, "Why are you continuing to do these old man bands?" Like everyone has a complaint, right? And I I saw people complain about the Wicked soundtrack, and I immediately thought of exactly what came to fruition with your story, to where like that being on vinyl and putting a girl who wouldn't normally go there to do that in that line made a collector for life. And that it just perpetuates the scene that we all love, and the collecting community. It gets more people and younger people involved. So I was actually insanely happy they did that. Like I'm sure it grabs so many new people, which is awesome.
When I was in line, or when I was taking pictures of everybody, I said to Bill and Jen, I said, I really like what I'm seeing, because for years, Record Store Day has been a giant sausage fest. I mean,
Yeah.
it's exactly. I mean, it was mostly curmudgeon old men in line, fighting to get that one Rush album that came out. Um, but I saw, not only was that young lady first in line, but I saw parents with their younger kids, and I saw a lot of high school age girls in line, and they didn't just buy the Taylor Swift. Yes, they bought the Taylor Swift, but they also bought other stuff. And so, Rev, I completely agree with what you're saying. I mean, if this is what it takes to help get them into a store and help them get excited about collecting, I'm all for it. Now,
Yeah, yeah,
I'd like
absolutely.
I'd like to see the cost of the Taylor Swift 45 not be 19.99. I think that's a little ridiculous. I mean, Taylor, you want to do something for your fans, put it out there for $5, and then watch how many people become collectors getting that stuff.
I
But
gotta say though, God bless Taylor Swift. As a
yeah,
record collector, right? Record store lover, she's really done a lot to. I know that 45 was a little expensive, but I noticed that in each store was a different price, right? I saw some stores where it's $15, others it was 20, others it was 17. So it goes to show you that just like normal, every record store is pricing it. I think a basic availability, right? If they only have a few, they're going to price it higher. I went to like Red Scroll had like 30 of them. So
Wow.
that was priced lower. So yeah, they were well, and they probably sold a lot before that. So
well, my only disappointment with Record Store Day was there was not a single Drowns release on the RSD
You're
catalog.
telling me, man. You're telling me. We really want to do that in the future. And I mean, we're planning some stuff for next year, but that wasn't a part of the conversation, but it totally should be. I would love to do something. You know us, we love to do goofy, random like releases, and I'd love to do that, man. I'd love to do something really fun though, like kind of avant-garde, where you have to buy something weird and you get a record with it, like you like you buy like a squirt gun, or like something like a rubber duck, just something completely random, but you're purchasing this and then they give you the record with it. And that's I would also love to see record stores have to carry like rubber ducks or like squirt guns that they sell you. Just
So you
something
have
completely
enough
random.
weird
well,
stuff
we're
in
still
your store.
talking about doing a Goldmine Drowns
we
edition.
will we
Yes.
will do that, absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, that would be cool to do with record store day, now that we
remember that band that we picked out? It was your pick. Do
Yeah.
you remember what you picked, the song? It was about
yeah.
record.
Yeah, I need that record by. I always forget their name, but I'm on the spot. It's one word. It's gonna kill me. But yes, I think I told you guys about that bit. Was it the
Yeah,
tweets? The
we'll find
tweets.
out. That's close. Right now, people are probably yelling the name
Oh, I'm
while we
sure.
podcast, but we should
Well,
cue up some drowns and play it here. Uh,
yeah,
the song.
Pat, I invited Rev to join us again because they just got back from a tour in the U.S. and I know they're going to be going out on a tour to Europe, and I'm going to have the pleasure of spending some time with Rev and the band at Punk Rock Bowling. But
Uh,
while he was out on the road, they uncovered a really good record store, and Rev sent me a note. Hey, I just visited this awesome record store. I'd love to talk about it and share it with you and Pat. So maybe we turn it over to Rev and he can
yeah,
tell us,
please.
yeah, why this record store is so great and tell us a little bit about them.
So we were in St. Louis and we played a great show. It was super fun. And you know what's funny is that town can always be kind of hit and miss. So for us, we didn't have necessarily high expectations, but the show was phenomenal. And the promoter who put it on was in one of the opening bands, and he came and talked to me and was like, "Hey, if you guys are around tomorrow, I have a record store and I'd love to open it up for you. I'm not open that day, but I'll open the door for you guys to come in. And I know you guys are, collectors." And so we went and we got like lunch that day, and then we went to his store. It's called the Record Space, and it is awesome. It's a lot of punk rock and a lot of metal and a lot of more heavier and aggressive music, but he does have a lot of like good rock and roll and a lot of glam, which obviously I love. But what's crazy is that I didn't even necessarily like I looked through the vinyl, but I also collect VHS tapes, and he sells a ton of weird, like wacky VHS and like movie collectibles, and it was just it was the funnest record shop I've been in a long time, but I think because it wasn't your standard kind of record store, it kind of felt like, even though I just met this guy, a friend of mine opened a record store. He also had pinball, which doesn't hurt, which he had two pinball machines up front, which is really cool. But his shop was awesome. And yeah, really great selection. And he runs a small label um that I think is named after the store, if I'm not mistaken. I think it is. But that does like little like small off runs of things like he just did a release with Fear on cassette, and I guess he does like a lot of cassettes and a lot of like small 7 inches and stuff. But no, the shop was absolutely amazing.
Have the drowns come through Connecticut? Because I got a record store to recommend to you.
you
It,
know we haven't, but we're coming soon. We're coming to the East Coast. We're touring out there with the New Bomb Turks.
well, there's a record store in Bridgeport, and we went there on Record Store Day, but they don't participate. They had a sign that said, "We have no Record Store Day titles" on the front door. But it's a great store, and it's exactly kind of how you described it. This St. Louis store, they have a lot of VHS tapes. They're half film buffs, half vinyl buffs. So it's a combination of the two. If you're into film, especially cult film, horror. I'm not too into horror. I'm into cult film, but not too much into horror. But I mean, they got some crazy horror stuff, like stuff I wouldn't be into because it's like gore porn. But
Yeah.
they uh they have these VHS tapes, man. Dukes of Hazzard. It's just crazy stuff.
Yeah, I'm a big
Yeah.
science fiction guy. So
Oh,
I go for like really weird science fiction is what I
oh,
love.
they have all of it. You would freak out if you remember the archive in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Giving them
Awesome.
a shout out. Great. Um, but I don't know if Alan, if you've seen any stories like that.
Oh yeah, I've been to quite a few stores because it's for the longest time, kind of the music collector tended to cross over a lot to the comic book collector also, I think. So, I would find I'd go into a bunch of record stores that would also carry comic books, but now I see them branching out and carrying like the McFarlane toys and the
Yeah.
figurines. But then, yeah, VHS and DVDs and let's be honest, there is not a lot of margin in the world of the record industry, and I think store owners are looking to sell anything that can keep their doors open, and so finding a store that has more than one thing, I think is a smart way to do it. I mean, it cracks me up when I go into a store and like all they carry is, all we carry is country. That's all we're doing. We just carry country. I'm like, wow, is there enough people that are just going to buy country music that you can have a specific country music record store? All right, great. But
Hope
some
it's
of the
a high
best
school.
stores, some of the stores I spend the most time at are the ones that have everything.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, same.
Yeah, I've seen there's this other my buddy owns this shop in Monroe, Connecticut called Retro Spin Shop, and he has a lot of uh he loves Scooby-Doo, so he has all this Scooby-Doo memorabilia. It's pretty amazing. And he'll play like cartoons, old cartoons. Not just Bugs Bunny, but all the old shows. It's pretty cool. So it's like this record shop, animation, history. It's pretty cool. So you'll be surprised. I even there used to be a place in Waterbury, Connecticut. I'm trying to remember the record store, but it was part used tools and records.
I mean, listen, think about it. Back in the 50s, right? You would go to the pharmacy and
Yeah.
they would have a soda fountain there, and that's where people would sell 45s. And then in the 60s, I remember going to like Woolworths and the five and dime store and getting the newest 45 that came out. So, before there were these standalone record stores, you never knew where you might find records at. I mean, I remember going to the Shell gas station, and they had limited Shell albums that you could buy that had really bad songs from people who you probably never have heard of. But
I love that.
yeah,
Yeah, so they would get around paying rights, I think, or paying artists.
oh yeah, artists love that when you
Yeah,
skirt
yeah,
them.
I'm a big fan. I've essentially built my
yeah.
entire career on not getting paid, so it works out.
So who you
So
wearing the Ruts?
Oh yeah, so my Ruts t-shirt. Yeah, I love these guys, man. Well,
Oh, okay.
Ruts are one of the greatest. They because their singer's untimely death. Unfortunately, they were cut a little short. But one of the most like underappreciated punk bands of all time. Uh, that the Crack, that album with like Babylon's Burning on it and stuff is phenomenal from track one to the end. I have a real quick story about the Ruts. Real quick. So uh, there, I was in line for to get our passes at Rebellion, I think last year, and I saw Lee from the Ruts, the guitar player, in line, and we had met in the past, but by no means were we friends. We were just introduced once, and I saw him in line, and I try not to fanboy at all, but I walked up and I was like, "Hey, Lee, you're Lee from the Ruts, right?" And he kind of gave me that look, like, "Oh no, like I'm gonna have to deal with this dude." I'm just trying to get my band stuff and move along. And I was like, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, last year you played with a band called Charred Hearts and you played guitar for that. He filled in for a band that I love. And immediately it switched to where he was like excited I wasn't gonna like fanboy about the Ruts on him. And he like it was super nice to me and it was cool. Usually I stick my foot in my mouth with situations like that. So it was nice that he was actually excited. But there's a band called Charred Hearts. It's like a legendary UK band that no one really knows about. The drummer also play his it's the drummer is the son of the singer, and the drummer also plays in Peter and the Test Tube Babies. But
Well,
yeah, Chart Hearts, they have like no vinyl really. I think they have one 10 inch maybe with two live songs on it, and that's it. But great band if you can find it out there.
I wonder how much it is, that piece of vinyl.
They gave me one, which is the sweetest thing ever. The drummer brought me one for my birthday. He lives in Berlin now, and he brought me one of the only records that they have for my birthday, which is really really awesome. But Chart Heart's a great band, and the Ruts obviously phenomenal too. But yeah,
I
man.
didn't hear the Cynics. Um, how would you said they're garage rock?
yeah, they're like 60s garage rock.
So the Doug, the owner of Get Hip, is what does he play in the Cynics?
Greg, not Doug.
Greg.
Greg.
Oh, Greg.
He's
What does
he's a
Greg play?
guitarist.
Oh,
He's a
okay.
guitarist, and it's Greg with three G's, one at the beginning
Three
and two at the
G's.
end.
That's too many G's.
No, I think you have a typo then in the print edition. I only use two.
So
Tell
we're real quick.
apologies.
Real quick, I was gonna say like the when you were talking about the Cynics earlier, that made me think of the Sonics, who obviously the garage band from the '60s from Seattle, and the
Yep.
Drowns. We've recorded a couple of songs with the guy who plays guitar with them now, our friend Evan, who's also in a great surf band called the Boss Martians. But there's a Sonics documentary that just came out, and it's phenomenal. If you haven't seen it yet, it's rad. And they do talk a lot about the record label and everybody who supported them making records in the beginning. And it's really cool for a record collector, especially if you're a fan of like any sort of like 60s garage rock and what I would call like early punk before we knew what any of that was. But yeah, just you guys haven't seen it yet. It's I didn't believe it's on Amazon Prime, but it's
I will be down.
phenomenal.
I will be downloading that because I am a big Sonics fan, and I've got some of their releases. And you're,
I didn't know. I didn't know
oh
you're a big
yeah,
Sonics fan. Well, now I can pay you back for some stuff. That might
yeah,
be one of
no,
the only cool guy things I could do for you.
you are right though. They were a precursor to what became punk. I mean, they were doing loud screaming guitars before anybody else was.
Alan is
Absolutely.
also a Saints fan, which the Saints from
Yes.
Yeah.
80s punk
Dude,
band.
it's crazy how kismet this world is. So the reason why the singer of the Charred Hearts wasn't at our show in his hometown on our last tour, he apologized to me. He's a great guy, but he apologized was because he had flown to Australia to see the Saints. He was like, "I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be in the country because I have to go see the Saints," which was awesome.
And I found their Record Store Day album on Saturday, and I'm sending it to Alan uh,
Nice.
for because he always does that for me.
I am so
Yeah.
excited to get that. I did
Um,
not even know that there was one. You know, Rev, because I know we got to let you go pretty soon. So
No, you're
I
good.
did.
You're good.
I also wanted to talk a little bit because, as I mentioned, the Drowns are going to be at Punk Rock Bowling,
Mhm.
and they're doing a bar show, but they're also going to do a record signing event at the Doctor Strange record booth.
Yep.
And I'm excited to kind of have helped with that. But I just, wanted to get your opinion as somebody who's never been to Punk Rock Bowling. You've been there before,
Mhm.
so tell me and tell our listeners what to expect when you go to Punk Rock Bowling.
If you're a fan of the genre in general, whatever, it doesn't matter if your favorite band is Green Day or Blink 182, or if your favorite band is a band no one's ever heard of that was only on Steve Ignorant's label that he briefly had, or was like your favorite band is the first signing of the Minutemen who had a subsidiary of SST, it doesn't matter because they cover all gamuts of punk rock and what I would kind of consider rebellious rock and roll. And the lineups are always amazing. This Mark Stern does such a good job at just getting together these massive, incredible lineups, and it's an event to where it's all in one area. It's in Fremont Street. Like if people know Vegas well, it's the old part of Las Vegas, and it's this massive strip. And you've seen it in movies, with the big the like LCD screen ceiling and stuff. And it's all contained in that neighborhood, so everything is really, really walkable. And it's cool because the way they do it is you're at this all day festival where you've got multiple stages, but I think it's only two is what they do these days, but only two. And you can bounce back and forth. They stagger the bands, and the stages aren't far apart, which is really nice. And then they do night shows. So right when the festival ends, like the day festival ends, they have these club shows at night that are just a normal punk rock club show, but with these massive lineups that you'll never get together anywhere else because touring schedules and stuff. You can't get four stacked bands on the same bill at your normal club show. So it's a massive bonus. I mean, it just always blows my mind, to be honest. What they end up like every year we don't play, I'm like, damn it, this is the good year. But then every year just keeps being the good year, which is awesome. So I'm excited to show you around and to show you and like introduce you to everybody because it really is like I made a post about it online recently, but this is the 10-year anniversary of me first playing the festival. I've played like 4 or 5 times now, and it's just a family reunion. I get to see all these people that I love and I care about who I don't get to see more than maybe one day a year because of the distance in between. So it's really nice just to be there and hang out. Like, I'm probably going to cry during 7 Seconds because those guys are some of my best friends that I haven't seen them play in years. And they always come out to see the Drowns on the road. And they don't tour as much, so we don't really get to return that. And so I'm excited to see that amongst other bands. But I'm really excited for that one. I'm gonna cry and you're gonna hold me. That's what's gonna happen.
I'll
Yeah,
comfort you.
I always want to ask you, with the Drowns, do you sell vinyl at shows with your merch?
Absolutely. I mean, we probably have more than any band at most shows, to be honest, just because
Pat,
we also care.
yeah, not only do they carry vinyl, so you can get the new release, Blacked Out, which everybody should own. My number two album of the year from last year. Amazing album. But sometimes they've got European versions of some of their original stuff. They've got reissues and I think it's probably one of the nice things about being parts of Pirates Press. Vinyl is a little easier for those bands to get because of the connections with them. But they have t-shirts, skateboards, patches, buttons. I mean, I think you can find underwear if you look closely enough. I mean, there is Drown. They're the punk version of Kiss. There you can get their
Wow.
you can get their logo on everything. So the
Oh
Drowns do
man.
it right.
Do you autograph albums? I noticed that that's been a kind of a trend where bands will autograph vinyl on the merch table.
We will when we get asked. So that's the thing is like that's why this is such a special event that Alan helped put together at Punk Rock Bowling is because I don't know if we've ever done an organized one of those before. But if you ask us, absolutely, because we also understand that, I have some signed records from the past that I adore. And so if I was ever to be like, no, to someone, I would just be an asshole. That's because I have asked people because I'm a collector too. I have multiple albums that if I got one signed, I'll buy another copy of the record. So I have a signed one and an unsigned one. But I'm neurotic like that with vinyl, so it's uh it's one of those. But yeah, we'll sign anything anybody wants, and it would if it comes down to something to where someone doesn't have enough money to buy like the things they want, more than likely we'll give them the records and the shirts or whatever they want on top of whatever they buy. Because it's more important to us just to get everything out there. You know what I mean? And at this day and age, we're a kind of forward-thinking, outspoken band on a few things. And if I was quiet in this current political climate, then Joe Strummer would come from his grave and kick the shit out of me. So it's at the moment too. It's more important just to get the message out there. You know what I mean? And we do fine, like financially, when it comes to like playing shows all over, we do so well at this point that we are sustainable. So it is just important to us, which is it's funny because I think people think that we have a lot of merchandise because we want to make a lot of money, and I mean, that would be nice, but it's not really the truth. It's like we love the culture. We love, we were born into this. We were fans. That's why we started, and that never ended. And so we like having options for everybody, and we like having collectibles. We like having short runs of things. Like we're gonna make more announcements here soon about limited presses of certain things, and it's it's something we think about and curate. And I think most bands don't, and I'm not gonna knock them for it because sometimes it's a huge pain in the ass to plan things out like that. But for us, it's just important because we want to walk to a merch booth of a band that we love and we want tons of options, some being limited and some being rare. And so that's also why, Gunner Records, who put out Gunner Records in Germany, was a label that put out our first album, View from the Bottom, before anyone else gave a shit. Like actually, Pirates passed on that album years ago just because we weren't ready. And I would argue they were 100% correct at that time. We were brand new, no one knew who we were, and we were still kind of finding our sound. But Gunner took a chance, and Gunner put out a record in Europe, and it did really well. And so now, to honor that, Pirates was like, well, the popularity of your first album has come around, and people love it, and it's harder to get. So we repressed it, and Gunner was involved in that too. So if you get a European pressing, you're getting it from Gunner Records, and if you get an American pressing, you're gonna get it from Pirates. So
Yeah, I think fans need to cool it with that criticism because, not only is it hard for artists to make money nowadays, but also they should. You're making a living. You're never going to be like make money like Elon Musk. So, fans need to like chill. They need to really
yeah,
chill on that.
Oh,
And
come
it's
on,
going to a good
come on,
cause. It's not going to SpaceX.
Pat, come on. Do you know how much money they make off of every downloaded stream? I mean, they're billionaires. Don't worry about it, man. They're getting
but
so much money.
Oh.
.0089 cents per play.
Hey man, even artists that do this, the few that do make a lot of money, I rather send them the money than the guy I just mentioned. So that's my opinion. But
Yeah, no, and I think, I think to bring the conversation back full circle, though, I do think people are starting to think about that
yeah,
because it seems like this record store day had a really great turnout. And friends of mine here in Seattle who run record stores, like Zion's Gate and Georgetown Records, like they seem to be doing good, which, in the past, especially around COVID time, was an absolute fucking nightmare. So it's really great that I do think it's coming around, which is really cool. And people, it's great if they come to the show and they give us cash directly, right? Like to break down the fourth wall, that's how we make money. It is, the money that comes from venues mostly goes to gas and travel and things like that.
right.
So any of the merch money is we bought it from the label for a smaller amount, and then we can charge the normal amount and we make that profit that's in between. So yes, technically coming to our merch booth and buying that is the way to do it, but also because we work at Pirates Press, they're so great about getting money to the bands too. If you buy it from a record store, we're still getting chunks. So it's like it's if you buy the hard goods alone, that helps more than anything.
Yeah, I say forget that sort of fan criticism. I wish every band would make Led Zeppelin type money. So, it doesn't bother me. It's going into the right hands. But listen, before you go, I want you to tell your tattoo story
My tattoo story about
about rolling up to the red light, and someone saw
oh
your tattoos.
yeah, yeah. So,
Because we all
so
know that you're a very peaceful, loving guy. So let's hear it.
oh man, so what happens is like over the years I've been getting tattooed, and my dad actually made my dad's like a conservative redneck, who I love. He's a great guy. I got a lot of great music taste from him over the years, but he the other day I walked in his house and he saw like I have more tattoos on my head. And he was like, how much more shit are you gonna do? Is the first thing he said, and we just started laughing. I gave him a hug, right? Because I'm like running out of space right now. So the last few places I have left is I just got my stomach tattooed, and I'm starting my back, and then I've been filling in my head. And basically since I've known Alan, I've gotten all of my head covered over the last like 2 years. Um, and so nowadays we notice that on the road, if I'm driving the van, drivers treat us very differently. To where like if they're like let's say we're in traffic and like someone like thinks we cut them off or something, or they're mad about something and they pull up next to us, it's a starkly different response if I'm driving because of the head tattoos. They definitely do react differently where they kind of get mad until they get there and then stunt whatever their response was going to be and just mind their own business, which to an extent is nice. It weeds out the assholes. But in your guys' words, I'm a really nice guy. So the
You
irony
are. You
is there.
couldn't get more liberal and pacifist. But
Meanwhile,
that
Andy's like, how come every time I drive, people are yelling at me?
maybe that's
Man,
it. Right? I need to get some more tats. Because
yeah, maybe that's it. Oh man. Really quick, like I wanted to share a story with you guys. I grabbed a couple records I got recently that I'm excited about. Like I got this Thin Lizzy Back in Chicago record, which is cool.
nice.
I didn't have this yet. I got this Toots of the Maytals picture disc, which I'm really excited about. I'm not the biggest picture disc collector. I just thought this one was super rad, and I love Toots. I saw him a bunch. But I have this really great buddy named Zach, and I wanted to tell a really quick story. So Zach is this amazing, like jazz drummer and total sweetheart, and he and I have like gone to New York just to see jazz shows. And Alan knows that I'm a big jazz nerd, which I think people wouldn't necessarily think because of just what I do, maybe assumptions and maybe the tattoos. But uh, Zach and I talk about jazz all the time, and we've, bought records from each other, traded records, grabbed records for each other. And he recently gave me this, and I wanted to tell this story. So, like, it's great to go to a record store and buy vinyl, but also sometimes records come into your life out of nowhere, just from friends or from people you know. And so he gave me this Coltrane album, and as you can see, so it's Coltrane's Countdown. And as you can see on the front, it has these huge letters in Sharpie. Maybe you can see it, but it
Yep.
says KZUU. And that was the radio station that he worked at in college. And so he gave me this copy, which I thought was great because he had already had the album, but he had this one from. He gave me the one with the letters written on it from the college, which I thought was great. So back when they had to play vinyl on the radio, obviously. Um, but the coolest part is that it's from my buddy Zach, and I love him to death. But some student went out of his way to write on the back of this, and it says, "John Coltrane died for our sins. If there is a heaven, he's there, and I want to get there so I can hear him and hang out with him." And I was like, that's so rad. I mean, it sucks that someone wrote on the record, but in the same instance, it's going to be so much more special to me because of that. So I wanted to parlay that into saying something we talked about before, which is when Alan took us record shopping, all of our heads were below because we were in the dollar bins. And I love finding stuff like that. That album has history beyond just the fact that John Coltrane recorded it and someone put it out.
I
I
agree.
love it.
You'll find a lot of that also with the White Album by the Beatles. People used to love writing on the White Album, and there's a museum actually. The guy collects White Albums, and he's got all these different sayings or people's names on it. People
That's
love
awesome.
them. Yeah, yeah. We
Since we're
actually
So-
doing since we're doing you show me yours and I'll show you
Uh-oh.
mine. Um, when I took Rev shopping, he turned me on to this band called TRB with with their album Power in the Darkness. And he's like, "Oh, you got to get this album." He was so excited that they had a copy there that he got, and like he was telling me, "You got to get this album. You got to get this album." And so I found I did get one, but when I was out in the wild, I don't know if you have this version of this album, but I picked you up another copy because this one is a 2 album set.
Oh no, I don't have that.
Yeah, it's got a second album that's a live album with it.
Oh man, no, I
So
don't have
now
that at all.
you're going to have this when I see you.
Oh, that's so rad, man. That's
Yeah.
huge. The Tom Robinson band they're unreal. How kind of unknown they are. Did we talk about them on the podcast? I don't know if we
I
talked about
think
them.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, but the singer quit doing it for a while to go into gay activism in England. And I finally got to see them at Rebellion, and it was absolutely beautiful. I did see the Rebellion in Blackpool. Also has a literary stage where like writers who are involved in the music industry can talk, and I find myself going there just as much as I go to the stage. Um, and I saw him talk about writing songs with Elton John there, and it was super, super cool. And this year, actually, I'm a huge Chumbawamba fan, and Chumbawamba is going to be at Rebellion talking about their band at the literary stage. So I'm going to be there chomping at the bit to like hear some facts. So I'm excited.
It's funny because I think most people, when they hear the name Chumbawamba, they only think of the song, was it Tub Thumping?
Yeah,
Because that's like, it was such a huge hit. But that lead singer's done tons of punk music before that.
yeah. Dunstan Bruce, he's playing this year. He's playing Rebellion again with his band, his new band. It's a made up word. I can't remember the name of it. But he's playing this year, and he just put out a documentary about the band and being an aging rock star. That's really good. Um, their album, oh man, what is the name of it? They put out an album with a song on it called Anarchist, that the first time I heard it when I was younger, it like blew my mind how good the lyrics were. And it's funny because back to tattoos. I'm covering up a tattoo on my side that I got when I was 18 that's horrible with huge lyrics from that song. The lyrics are nothing ever burns down by itself. Every fire needs a little bit of help. Uh, but if you lean into their background too, they did so much with that. They shit on every good opportunity that they were given by record labels to not make money and to get their messages heard. They were phenomenal how like we built our band on their politics too, to where it was like everyone gets paid the same. Like you pay everyone the same, you treat everyone the same, then everyone feels invested. Um, yeah, that documentary is amazing because you see footage of them like getting asked to when Tub Thumping hit, they got asked to play these huge events in England, and if any politicians were there, they just shit all over them. And they would like just like at one point they were asked to play this huge conference where I believe there was like an oil tycoon there, and one of the band members looked at the wrist and they said like go now, and he like walked like along tables of this like huge event, and all these people are dressed nice and like dumped wine all over this politician who was like doing these oil deals. And they were unreal. Like also, you talked about tub thumping. All like the majority of the money for that record, they made nothing off it because they gave it to striking Irish miners and their families. So this is like you can tell I'm a dork about it. Like this is I'm so excited to go see them talk about their band. So
Speaking of Thin Lizzy, you're a Thin Lizzy fan. So
huge, yeah,
Record Store Day had alternate tracks, right, Alan, of
Yep.
Jailbreak.
Yep.
Did you pick that up?
I did.
Ah,
nice, hell yeah,
so
hell
yeah,
yeah.
that's a good one. That's a good
So
one.
last year, Alan grabbed me the live was it Live and Dangerous the
Yeah.
Record Store Day release of that, which is awesome. And
Very good.
our guitar player Christian, who just joined the band last year, uh, after Phil Leonette died, Thin Lizzy went on, and this is just it's complete happenstance. Thin Lizzy just they went on to form a band called Black Star Writers, and they still played some of the songs, but they also made their own music. And Christian actually played guitar in that band.
Hmm.
So when he joined our band, I had to like wait a few months, and then I had to be like, "So what are the guys like?" It's like, you know, and I've gotten some really great stories from him about the guys from that band. So
And
That's
listen,
very cool.
Christian has been a huge plus to that band. I mean, he's a lot of fun to watch play. I mean, you've always had good guitarists, but he takes the band to another level.
I fully agree. He's also just a good like. At the end of the day, man, being a good hang will get you so far in that world because we're together so much of the day. You know, it's constant. You're with each other 16 more hours, you know, than you're actually like playing when you're not sleeping. So it's like uh he's also just insanely fun to be around. And he's seasoned. You know, he was in Dee Dee Ramone's band when Dee Dee Ramone
He
passed.
showed me
Like
the ring. He showed me the
yeah,
ring.
yeah, he's got the history for sure, man. And so he's just beyond just being a great guitar because he's a phenomenal guitar player. He's just such a sweet guy. He's absolutely darling to be around, and he's also really handsome, which is nice for our band because we're kind of like we always call ourselves the what was it, two goblins and an ogre. So it's really nice that Christian is like one handsome dude in the band. So maybe some ladies will pay attention as
Just
long as the other three of us aren't too much of a deterrent. So
Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast again. Alan talked about making a regular appearance because you do stop in record stores all the time. So, um,
constantly, yeah.
you could pop on this edition of Record Store Recon and tell us about, just like
Well,
you did about the store in St. Louis.
and
Um,
Pat,
but
there's one
yeah,
last thing I want to tell because and Rev doesn't even know this but when I am at Punk Rock Bowling, I'm going to have, shall we say, a full sack of autographed albums with me. And
like Santa.
if people follow me on social media at DOC_disc, I'll be telling them where I'll be, and the first person to come over and just find me and say, "Are you Doc Disc?" I'm gonna let them pick any autographed album that they want out of Doc's bag. So
Dude. So I'll promote that for you, but I guarantee you're gonna get mobbed.
that's awesome.
There's so many collectors.
That's why I want to have some fun with it. Like, I'll be at this spot at this time, and the first person to find me there is going to get an autographed album of whatever I've got.
I love that. It's like a treasure hunt.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
we
that's
look
awesome.
forward to that. And I hope everyone goes to gethip.com for Get Hip Records, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Dr. Disc gave them what? Almost a perfect score? I
Yeah,
think
almost.
almost, yeah. The
We're gonna be out there, Pat. You better take us record shopping. We're gonna be out there with the New Bomb Turks in July, August time. So
Yeah. So Pat will have to take you out.
yeah. Yeah, because we're skipping Chicago for some god awful reason. I don't know why.
you have to go through even more east.
Well, I will tell you, and Rev, I don't know if you're available, but the Friday that Friday afternoon of Punk Rock Bowling,
Hmm.
I'm heading over to the museum because they just opened up a record store inside the museum. And so I'm going to be meeting with one of the founders of the museum and doing
Awesome.
doing a review on the record store, which will be an upcoming review in our next magazine. So if you want to go with me, or if you're around and want to meet me over there, then we can we can tag team it.
Absolutely. Some of those people are they're really good friends of mine, and we've done a lot with them. I would love to. It's awesome. Also, just to promote the museum. If no one's been to the Punk Rock Museum in Vegas, I went in and I thought it was going to be like I assumed that it was going to be lackluster and just a collection of some things. They put so much hard work into that place, and I love that all the folks involved believe that punk is a legitimate like social and political art movement and needs to be documented. And there's so much cool stuff there. And there's a tattoo shop in the top if you want to get a tattoo. It's there's like guys like Matt Freeman, like or Fat Mike. They'll leave their guitars there. You can play their guitars in the like jam room. It's awesome.
Very cool. Well, thank you guys for this edition, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, fellas, be